to discern between what's bullshit and what's fact and what not even what's fact. Are you willing to believe it? Does it even sound like it's even close to being real? You know what I mean? But I agree. I mean, that's that's probably one of the biggest problems, and I think that the majority of people who are involved in that kind of stuff, they're really people. The majority of them are mentally ill. I mean, that's really the only way that I can say it. It's a mental illness, and I've heard people who get on the internet and they discuss like alien abductions and stuff, and then they don't understand why their family members are doing freaking health checks, you know, sending the police out to the house to make sure they're okay. And it's
Oh,
like, you know,
in my hometown, I had when I worked at the video store in high school, there was a local bum that was definitely on the crazy end of the equation that was watching military movements and was constantly talking about UFOs and his abductions. And this particular guy, he's kind of, talking about layers 1 through 5, and he was pretty close to 5 there.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about too. And you know, don't get me wrong. I mean, with some of the stories that I've heard, you know, especially the ones with the secret space program. Um, a lot of the people that are in there that discuss that stuff, you can tell they do have mental illness, and they refuse to be, you know, they've refused to allow themselves to have psychological evaluations and see a therapist and stuff. And then they talk about poor health. A lot of them talk about poor health, but the thing is like if that kind of stuff really did happen to them, even if let's give them the benefit of the doubt, some of the stuff they said, if it really did happen to it, don't you think that would affect them, you know, mentally, to where they would still want to get psychological evaluations and help with their mental problems? You know, I mean,
I feel like the
Oh,
cover up would affect them more. The
well,
cover up would affect them more than
the,
the
the,
actual process.
these really aren't like people who are, you know, this isn't really about the cover up, you know what I mean? This is about people who, well, they're being manipulated by the people who are doing the cover ups. Okay, it's like they
Exactly.
they have mental
That's what I'm
illness.
saying. The aliens themselves, I don't feel
No,
like would cause the
this
trauma.
is the
Like
government.
alien
I mean,
sightings are not going to
this
cause
is
you
the
trauma.
government doing it. Okay,
Yeah,
like these people have mental
capitalist.
illnesses, and they're being showcased by the government. Okay, and they're like, look, these are crazy people. This is what you believe. You know what I mean? And there's abundant amount of information with people like that. If you go on the internet and just, you know, look at the first 10 videos, I guarantee you it's going to be a lot of people who are going to tell you a lot of things about aliens that just are just outlandish. Okay, and it's going to happen. Now, if you can't discern between that and what the truth is, then you're going to be basically suckered into believing it. You know what I mean? But that's the thing that I see about a lot of the people, especially who believe in the secret space program, because and there's even people who honestly talk about that stuff, and he's very popular too, and he's one of the guys I'm referring to. They monopolize on that, and they make money off of it. You know what I mean? Make a few $1,000s and go out with his wife to get freaking face jobs done. You know, keep that pretty yellow hair freaking, you know, straight and looking young. You know, and that's what they do. They exploit people so that they can make money off of it. And these are people that are actually talking about secret space programs. So you've got a whole lot of things that are going on there that you have to be careful about. And don't get me wrong, there are some people that believe 100% what they're saying, especially when it comes to abductions. But the ones who are really honest are the ones who are willing to actually go to a therapist and have the therapist like do hypnosis on them. Like in Arizona, they came out with that movie. I forgot the name of it. But anyhow, the guys that were involved in that, they didn't even want to freaking be publicized. They didn't want any kind of publicity about it at all whatsoever. And what happened is they were out logging in the woods, and one of the guys that was there was abducted. You know what I mean? And they lost track of him for like I think it was almost a week and a half. And then all of a sudden he appears at a gas station, and that's where it all started. And that's a good example of what I'm talking about. You know that's a good story that you can actually research on and stuff like that. But you got to be careful. You can't just fall for everything, you know. But I forgot what the name of that movie was. And I did listen to a couple of podcasts of the actual guy that got abducted, and he said that, you know, the movie isn't what really happened in real life with him, you know, but he went through and kind of explained it all. So I'm going to shut up now, let you guys do some talking.
I see that the quote's been dug up, and I apologize. It was Apollo 8, not 10.
Apollo 8.
But no, a lot of people who have experienced this, I could see them not wanting to go to a psychologist. I mean, this isn't conspiracy. The experiments the three-letter agencies did in the 60s and 70s, and what they're doing now, where they're paying therapists to push kids towards transgenderism as a cult.
Yeah.
You know, in school, it's you have to be very, very careful about going to any kind of psychologist or psychiatrist these days. You need to make sure they're not on the WEF dole.
Well, the thing is there's like psychiatrists out there that literally focus on UFO phenomenon. You know what I mean? They don't have to go to like the psychologist down the street. I should pull up who I'm talking about because I know it's really important. It was a really big story. I mean, it actually hit freaking national news back then. But he was his name I know one of the guys' names was Dallas, and he was suspected of doing or foul play over the incident because the police were brought in on it, and they were doing literally a full investigation of the incident. But I should try to pull that up and find out. Now you have Betty and Barney Hill too. That's another good example right there, okay? Because Betty and Barney Hill was a mixed couple. Okay, they were black and white and married to one another during the 60s. Now, common sense tells you that during that time period, you know, a mixed couple is not going to get up in front of everybody and say, look, I was abducted by aliens. You know, there was a lot of crazy shit going on back then. So they were really putting themselves out there in order to, you know, come clean with the UFO thing. But they, like the other situation I was talking about, they didn't, you know, come out and like try to become famous from it, you know. And the movie I was talking about was Fire in the Sky. It was an Arizona logger mysteriously disappears for 5 days in an alleged encounter with a flying saucer in 1975. And it says the co-workers endured ridicule and contempt as they were wrongly accused of murder. Yeah, so I mean they they literally were being accused of murder and saying that they hid the body and everything. So it's a really, really interesting story for me. That's one of the things that sticks out to me. But um, that is kind of what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like it made the movies, and the movie was made all dramatic about like all these horrible things that were being done to him. And the reality is none of that actually happened. I mean, according to his story, when he was brought up into the spaceship, it was because he was legally he was dead. You know, and they actually brought him back to life, and then brought him back to Earth, I guess, wherever he went. But there was no foul play whatsoever in that whole situation. But Hollywood would have made you think that they did surgery on him and strapped him down to a gurney and shoved stuff up his butt, you know, and did some anal probing, you know, just so they could sell a story and make money. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I was wondering, I'm reading Thon and I'm listening, but hey, Thon, Ebert Thon, oh, that's on the flag. Okay, never mind. That's a sidebar. But look, do you think that like now they press the like homosexual agenda? Is that a conspiracy? Do you think that's locked somewhere in their vault that hey, we're gonna impose these type of ideals and beliefs? Because it kind of just came out of
The I don't know if he can. I don't, is he still here?
Does it feel
Picos?
conspired?
Oh, I'm still here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm trying to wrap my head around what you said exactly, because
About the homosexual, do you think that's a conspiracy? Do you feel like it's an agenda? Like we're taught to believe that people's beliefs just change, and that's happening, and they're kind of gonna attempt to tinfoil us in regards to. Because
the
I don't
purpose
think
being,
so.
yeah, there's a different purpose behind that. That's a psychological operation. I don't think most people really care. Most people are not truly interested in that if they're not a part of it. What they're doing is they're trying to break us mentally.
Pushing it to us.
It's more of a, we're going to force you to think about something you don't care about. We're going to force you to tiptoe around it. They're trying to make us into a bunch of jittering idiots with raw nerves. That's the whole point behind that agenda, especially on the more extreme ends of it. Because you're trying to put us in a position where we give up. When you give up once, you're going to give up again. And that's the reality behind that agenda. And it's also, they want to reduce our population, and getting people interested in that, they reproduce less, especially on the extreme ends of it. So
There you go.
it's a psychological operation to break, because
Okay.
it has very little to do.
So is depopulation a conspiracy?
No, depopulation's for real.
Is depopulation a conspiracy?
No,
they're trying that.
Yeah, it's real.
Told
us
that goes back to.
But did you not hear these?
That goes back to The Calling. Okay, it's like The Calling, CULL. Now, like it's been known in history.
Oh, I heard of that movie.
That people are being called. You know what I mean? It's also known that we practice calling all the time when it comes to animals. Horses in Canada are being called like you wouldn't believe. They're being rounded up and they're being killed because they are taking up space for ranchers and stuff like that. These are wild horses, but these are known facts. Okay, so it's not hard for somebody to believe that there is something going on that's wanting the human population to drop, okay? Because we're at, 7 billion now? I think it's 7 billion? 7 billion people, all right? This Earth is not capable of handling much more than that. I mean, it's